I don't know, but I want to get into this because this was the big thing with Rings of Power, with them adding actors of color to the series, and then it was a big uproar about them trying to make the series woke, etc., that elves and dwarves and whoever else couldn't be people of color. Did we feel like being woke, and I'm gonna put this in quotations because I don't feel like that's what they were trying to do, did being woke actually impact the show like everybody thought it was going to impact it?
I
In
will
a negative way,
say
no.
this. You go, Ralph. Keep going. I want to hear what you got to say.
So, so in a negative way, no. And I say that because the characters that I actually liked out of the series were actually black. Like, for instance, I can't remember his name, but the Doors wife that we actually got to meet
Disa.
when we what's her name?
Disa.
Decent.
Disa. Yeah, so when we got to actually meet her in the series, she made going through like meeting Prince Durin and her interacting with the kids and also her interacting with like her husband and everything else. She made that episode and the time we got to see with her in it fun, and we actually, and me personally, I very much felt she was a great character as she was. She was a good actor in the scenes that she was in. So I didn't have any bad problems with our actors of color being in the series at all. They actually made it a bit more interesting or a bit more fun.
Mm-hmm.
I'll give you that. But I'll also say this definitely gave that argument more ammo, mostly because of everything we talked about beforehand. I wasn't in the calls and the meetings and the organization of this
But
series when the director.
is that their fault though? Maybe I if that gave that argument more ammo, I've said this before and I'll say it again. You guys are focused on the wrong thing with this series, because what do the actors have to do with the fact that most of this series was written and directed poorly? That's
But
not their fault.
that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. I don't know what they were focused on because they were when I'm saying they, I'm talking about the investors, the producers, and everything at Amazon who invested in this show. I don't know. When they were writing this show, obviously they were focused on graphics. That's where the money went towards. We can see that. But were they focused on
Mm-hmm.
diversity? Was their focus inclusion? Because if it was, I wish they would have directed that focus to the story. I'm not saying it is, but I'm saying for the folks who are arguing for, oh, it seems like Amazon's just trying to go for woke instead of delivering us a Lord of the Rings spinoff. I'm saying that this is some extra ammo if they wanted to present an argument
But
because this was a horribly written show for them to have great lore to feed off of.
but my counter argument to that would be is that Disa was not a main character. She was a
No.
supporting character to a supporting character. And if we get to Arendeer's storyline is not resolved.
Not at
Like
all.
he didn't even get to me. I don't feel like he got that main character spotlight like Galadriel did or Elrond did. I don't feel like he got that spotlight. I feel like that they were supporting characters to this series, and
Yeah.
I don't feel like people should blame them for that, because if now that we've seen the series, I don't think they're, to fully put my stamp on it, I don't think they were trying to be woke at all, because these characters did not get the attention that everybody thought they were going to get. Now, maybe that this argument spawned from the fact that they used these characters as a selling point in the series.
I can see that as
So
well.
maybe there's that line
Yeah.
between that, but when you actually watch it, Disa is a supporting character to Durin, who's a supporting character to Elrond. And then Arendir is a supporting character to this whole Adar Sauron storyline, and he doesn't even show up in the last episode. And he's not
The
in
Harfoot
the
was bad
emphasis.
though. The old man Harfoot, who
Oh
was
yeah,
basically like the leader,
I
he
forgot
was
about the
horribly written.
Harfoot.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I feel like that's not his fault. I feel like that whole Harfoot storyline wasn't written great.
Right.
I think that was like here's this side quest. Like we have the stranger with us. So this is what makes this side quest important. But if you took that whole piece out, I feel like we would have been fine. But at the same time, going back to my point, that is not their fault. And I don't feel like at the end of the series, I don't feel like that should give more ammo to that argument.
Right.
The only reason I'll say it does is because I can't tell what they were focused on. Because some of the other arguments I will say is the Lord of the Rings books are written years ago, the 60s. When did Tolkien
Yeah,
pass away?
they've been out like
So
I know there's stuff dating back from like the 1950s
Yeah.
with
so
them.
the thing so taking that into consideration, this book, the lore, the stories, and how it was written, because Tolkien put a lot of effort into his books, drawing the maps and everything. It was geared towards a different audience. And you even see now Saints Row and other video games and shows being good examples where or even Splinter Cell, where they say they want to write for a more modern audience. And without getting political and trying to digest that, I will say, if I was to do some research and look into it, I want to see if there was a reason or why they felt the need to integrate more people of color. Um, Also, it seems like a lot of Tolkien lore, it was more predominant male leads, although you did have Galadriel. And I wonder if them taking those turns were played a part in them making twists on Tolkien's lore and his stories, making their own creative changes. And I'm not saying they were bad because they wanted to include diversity and inclusion. I'm just saying they did not execute it in a way to where it brought value at all.
But I would say this, besides Galadriel, most of the high level characters were male.
Yeah.
And it's like the only other person that you could put beside Galadriel was Muriel, as
Yeah.
far as high emphasized characters, or even Isildur's sister, which was weird the way they included her, but we didn't
Oh
really
yeah.
get a lot of spotlight. We didn't really get a lot of spotlight female characters. We got a bunch of male characters. Elrond, Arendir, Durin. Like most of the characters that we really focused in on, Halbrand, Adar, were male
Male
characters.
characters.
The other thing that I want to say is maybe I will say maybe they did make the changes to fit the modern audience. But it also could have just been the fact that they had good acted, like these actors and actresses fit the role that they were looking for. And also going to the fact that these characters didn't have heavy impact on the storyline. The leader of the Hartfoots did not have a big impact on the Nori and the Stranger storyline. Disa did not have a big impact on the storyline between Durin and Elrond. Arendir didn't have a big impact on this whole whatever that storyline was supposed to be. Like he was there, and he played his role, but as far as like how the story went, I
Yeah.
I don't see them doing it. I see them doing it to fit the modern audience, but I don't see them doing it for like a big intention, because these characters didn't give much to the storyline.
Right.
And that's fair. And that's why it's like I want to know. I would love to hear the producers and the directors respond to fan critiques, because I do want to hear their purposes. Like, not like, for me, it's not even about the adding black folks and all that to the show. I just want to know what y'all was focusing on. I want to know what y'all was writing this for. What made you make your
I think the
decisions?
focus was cinematography. I think the focus was cinematography, and as long as their cinematography was straight, everything that come under that is go.
Like cinematography was
Everything
priority
else
1
is
and
go.
everything was priority 10.
Like hire who you want, write what you want, direct how you want. I just make sure at the end it looks good.
Yeah.
Mm. And it's hard, bro, to not compare this.
What's up, y'all? If you enjoyed this video, make sure you hit that subscribe button so you can get more updates from the mob. For the full discussion and more discussions like this one, click the link in the description. Thanks for watching.
Rock with it, let me pop my shit. Let me pop my shit. Hands up.